Which one do you want to do, 16, 17, or 18? Read them, decide. They're all exactly the same question. You have to start getting this out of your head. It is not the questions. A different numbered question doesn't mean anything. It just means you're doing the same math again. Damn it.
Good morning, staff and students.
Word for it. Okay. Once again, they are all the exact same math, right? What does that look like? It looks darn like a table of values, doesn't it? Which would make this what? The independent, or the x, and this what? Dependent, or the y, right? How many x's do you see there? How many y's do you see there? Which means you can get what? You have 2 points on a graph, so you can find the slope. How would I find that slope? How would I find that slope? I don't have a graph to count rise over run. Great, so what would it be? Which would be what? Using your calculators, because that's hard to do in your head. Pardon me? 12.6 over 10, 20 minus 10, which would be 1.26, yes? So that is my slope, agreed? Now, if that's an x and that's a y, isn't that a point on the graph? And what did we call this section of math? Look back a page. Cocktail bubbly. Point, slope, form. Do I have a slope? Do I have a point? Do I now have the formula? What is it? Y minus what? Yes, y minus, okay, you want to write it that way, y2 equals mx minus x2. These are the points I know, yes? So what are the points I know? Ten is a y value? 38.9 equals, what's my m? 1.26 x minus 10. What is the other way I could write this formula that would be just as acceptable? Y minus what? 51.5 equals 1.26 x. No, still minus. Right? Now, use your equation to determine the mass of the cylinder and liquid when the volume is 30. Which is volume, x or y? X is 30. So now volume is 30. So 30 equals what? X. What do I see right there? An X. What do I see right there? What can I write there? When I do that math, what will that give me? It will give me the Y value, won't it? That's how you do all of these questions. I'm not going to do the math because it's just plugging in. Setting up the question is what's hard, yes? All right, let's look at the next one. Don't laugh. Potash is something real and it's not what you think. So, read the question. Are there two things that I am counting in that question? I am counting years and millions of tons of potash, yes? So I'm just going to write potash. Agreed? So if I'm counting two things, I must need two variables because two things are changing, yes? So what would be a good variable to give to the year? Is years usually independent or dependent? Independent. So what variable should we give years? What variable should we give potash? Great. Now, what is the first year that I have?
2005.
And what is the amount of potash I sold? 8.2. We just need 8.2 because we know it's millions, right? Okay. What's the next year?
2007.
And how much did I sell?
9.4.
What do I have now? I have what I need to find slope, don't I? How will I find it? He waited patiently. Because it's exactly the same as the question we just did. Addison.
Y minus y2 over x minus x2.
Whatever you do. As long as you have y's and x's, right? So, what is going in for y2? 9.4 minus
8.2
over
2007 minus 2005.
what's 9.4 minus 9.4 minus 8.2? 1.2 over what? 2. What's 1.2 divided by 2? It's 12 divided by 2. 6, and I need one decimal place, 0.6, yes? What does that slope mean? For every year, how much more potash is Saskatchewan selling? 0.6 million tons, right? Okay, so now I want to know the sales of potash in 2010. Where does that 2010 go? On the X. Do I know the Y? No. And I also need 2015. Do I know the Y? No. So I better come up with a formula, yes? Do I have points? Do I have a slope? So can I make a formula? What would it be? Y minus what? 9.4 equals 0.6 for my slope, x, minus what? 2007. Why is it 2007? Because I used 9.4. Could I use 8.2 in 2005? Of course I could. It would just be x minus 2005, wouldn't it? How will I now use one of these equations to find these two values? I'll put 2010 in for what? X, and then I'll find the answer. Right? Point, slope, form. Totally different words, totally different situation, different question? No, exactly the same. Now you guys should be able to figure out 18, yeah? Do it. Because I know ain't nobody did it for homework. Would anybody like to share their first step? Jacqueline?
I set up a chart using the years 2009, 2003 as X, and in Y we were sure what 2001 was, but for 2003 there's 3,472.
Okay, now. All right. So there is some points, yes? Do I know my slope? It's in the question, isn't it? What's the slope? 198. Why? From January 6th to 2006, it increased by 198 per year. So I went over 1 year and up 196. So do I know my slope? My m equals 196. I have an m, slope, and a point, don't I? So what's the equation? 198. Yes, I wrote 6. 198. 2003. And then I can solve it, can't I? Use the equation from part A to estimate the number of students in January 2005. Where does the 2005 go? For x. So it's going to look like this. Y minus 3,470 equals 198 times 2005 minus 2003, right? Right? Which is going to be y minus 3,470 equals, what's 2005 minus 2003? 2. 2 times 198? What's 2 times 200? Minus 4 equals 396, yes? What's your job anytime you see a single variable? Isolate it. Y equals, when that moves over there, what happens to it? Positive 3,470. 3,470 plus 400 would be 3,870, but minus 4, 3,866. Yeah? That's how you do all these questions. Doesn't matter what you're counting, doesn't matter what the numbers are, they're all just X's and Y's. Okay? Even if I said time in years and S for students, because time is independent, so it's the X. Everybody understand? Ya, ya, ya. Ya, ya, ya. Turn to page 146. It's the last lesson of the unit. Then you get 4 days off. Then we do 2 days of review next week. You might have a little bit of work tonight, but it's actually pretty simple. There is a new word, general form, yes? No. General form. General. Thank you. I'm a major pain. How many of you have seen Spaceballs? You haven't seen the movie Spaceballs? Oh, it's a spoof of Star Wars. In that movie, the boss tells the guy who's flying his shuttle or his business. So we're going to convert general form to slope-intercept form. Now, you haven't seen slope-intercept form, or you haven't seen general form, have you? Okay. So, general form is this. All right. Everybody cool? Now, it looks a lot like every other form we've had, right? What's the same? There's an X. There's a Y. And there's a constant. Have we seen X's and Y's and constants together before? Yeah. Sure we have. We've seen it in both of our other forms, haven't we? So this is no different. But there's some rules here. All right? The rules are as follows. A, this number here, must be positive and a whole number. So no decimals or fractions. Cool? B must be a whole number. All right? Only whole number. It can be negative. C must be a whole number. Again, it can be positive or negative. Everybody cool? Those are the only rules. All right? Now, there's a problem with this if you don't pay attention to me. Because in slope-intercept form, which is what? Y equals mx plus b. You see that x is multiplied by a number, isn't it? That number is the slope, right? Because y is isolated. Agreed? In general form, you guys, come on. We could have a little fun with it. It is fun. All right, fine. You heard it first. As of now, no more jokes. Only math. For the rest of the year. We'll see how long that lasts, see if you like that. Does x multiply by a number? Yes. Just like here. Yes. Is that the slope? No. Will some of you say that is the slope? Probably. Yes, even though I am making a big deal out of it now. Right? Mm-hmm. M does not equal A. Okay? All right. What form do I have right there? General form. I want it to look like that so I can graph it. What must I do to the blue one to get it to the yellow one? Let us isolate y, please, children. Oh, yes, okay. What needs to move? Y is what you should move because you need y to be by itself. And right now, it's not. I'm going to move it because it is negative and I need y to be positive. 3x plus 8 equals positive 2y. Am I in slope-intercept form yet? No. What do I need to do now? Everybody good? And now graph it. Where do I start? 1, 2, 3, 4. And my slope is? So I go and or and then I make my line. Now listen to me. This right here is the same thing as this. Okay? The x can be in the numerator or it can be the variable of the whole thing. Everybody cool? All right. Now, what does that almost look like? Emma? It looks almost like general form, doesn't it? No, we're not doing jokes anymore. This is what we call standard form. And the rules are the same, but it's ax plus by equals c instead of 0. I don't know why we have them both. We just do. Graph that using slope-intercept form. What has to move? Okay, you're going to move the 3x, and that'll get y by itself. So what is that 3x going to become when I move it over here? Negative 3x. Then what? Plus 8. Then I got to divide everything by what? What kind of 4? Negative 4, because I want to get rid of the 4 and the negative to isolate y, right? So I get y equals what? This is going to screw a bunch of you up. 3/4 x minus 2. Y. 2 negatives divide to a positive, and 2 different signs divide to a negative. Yeah? Graph it. Down 2, up 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2, 3, 4, or down 1, 2, 3, left 1, 2, 3, 4, and make the line. Is there anybody that cannot do this level of algebra? Is there anybody in the room that needs to see it all? If you need to see it all, you are not comfortable with just hopping over the equal sign, you must do one of two things. Come and see me and sit down for 20 minutes at least of algebra practice, or go on some online program, type in, I can't do basic algebra, and do some lessons. All right? Yeah. Okay. What is different about what I'm asking you to do in 3? X and Y intercepts. Which means what? Which means what? And what's the other part of this? Y, 0, y. Excellent. So, in the first one in black, what am I going to end up with? Five x equals 10. And x will equal what? 2. In the second one, in red, what am I going to end up with? And y will equal what? What's the slope? What's the slope? Pardon me? Almost. What's the slope here? Negative 5 over 2. Rise, run. Okay? Write down an example of the equation of a line in each form. So, we need the equation of the line in each form. How many forms do we have? 3 and a bit, right? Because standard and general form are almost exactly the same, yeah? Okay, so we need the equation of a line in all the forms. So, don't we need a line first? Yep. There's a line, right? Let's go. What's the first form? That line will give us easily. Do you see a y-intercept? So is slope-intercept form on the table? No. Do you see points? Excellent. Do you see 2 points? So is point slope form on the table? Great. What do I need to do with that to find point slope form? Do I have points? I need to find the slope. So what's my job? So make it happen. This is about the 500th time you've found a slope. You should be able to do this without me telling you. What's the slope? He waited patiently for his grade 10 students to subtract 4 numbers. No. What's the slope? 6/5. 9 minus 3 over 7 minus 2. 6/5. Now I have a slope and I have a point, don't I? I actually have 2 points. Everybody write the 2 versions of the equation that you can now write. Who would like to offer me their version? When you are ready, please offer.
Y minus 9 equals 6 fifths.
Y minus 9 equals 6 fifths. X minus 7. Abso-smurfly correct. Who would like to offer the other version? And it can't be Braden, because I know Braden knows how to do math. Pardeep, hit me.
Y minus 3 plus 6 fifths
Equals 6 fifths.
equals x minus
3?
2.
2. Beautifully done. Excellently done. Now, I said I wanted each form. Where would you like to go next? Because who would make that decision? You would. What do you want to do next? Pardon me? Standard form? Okay. Standard form. What here is missing from standard form? What do I need to get rid of? Or we could, of course, use the red one. It doesn't matter. You guys tell me, red or green? You want to work the red one? Emma said it first. We'll work the red one. What do I need to get rid of to get it to look like standard form? What is written on the screen right now that isn't in standard form? There's no fraction. What else? Okay, so things are going to have to move. What else? You're missing a really obvious one. Yeah, I already said we're going to move everything. The variables, well, the number could be 1. So
Yeah, but
they have to have a whole number.
you can't have like the negative 9.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. You can only have one constant. Okay, that's another thing. Again, there's something else. Just use your eyes. I'll write out general form right here because apparently people forgot. What do you see highlighted in yellow that you do not see written in green? Brackets. So I have to get rid of the brackets, the fractions, and I'm only allowed one number, right? So what do you want to do first? You want to get rid of the brackets? Okay, how would you get rid of those brackets? It's not what I would do first, but what would you do to get rid of those brackets? Jack.
Multiply everything and see the number.
I would multiply that into it, yes? So I would get y minus 9 equals what? That's the way I would write it, and you'll see why in a second. Minus what? 42 over 5. Now what bothers you? They're still fractions. They're not allowed to be there. How do you get rid of stuff in algebra that bothers you? Well, not always. The inverse operation. So what bothers me is this divided by 5. So what would make me happy? Multiply by 5. Will that also take care of this 5? Yeah. If I do something to one side, what must I do to the other? So what do I have now? What happens on the left here? What do I get? Equals what happens to all these 5s? 6x minus 42. Which of those numbers cannot move right now? Nope. Nope. 6x cannot move because A has to be what? Positive. So 6x isn't moving. What else is? What's moving? 6x can't move. So y's moving because all the x and y's have to be together, right? So where's that 5 going? Where's the 5 going? To be with the 6. So what's it going to become? Negative 5y. If it's standard form, the constants must be together, yes? So where's that constant going? What is that going to give me? Negative 3. There's general form. Standard form. How do I make that general form? 6x minus 5y plus 3 equals what? 0. And how do I make any of those slope-intercept form? What do I have to do to get slope-intercept form? What has to be by itself? The what? The y. Which one of these is the easiest one to work with to get y by itself? Red, blue, or green? For what one wouldn't you want to touch? I wouldn't want to do green. Red would be really easy to work with, wouldn't it? Because negative 5... Oh, I want to make it... Negative 5y would equal negative 6x minus 3, yes? And then what would you do? Y equals 6/5 x, which we knew the slope was 6/5, plus 3/5. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4 forms. Everybody good? Any new skill? All old stuff, right? Just algebra. Got some new names, but that's it. Now remember when I said over here that I would not start with this? Remember when I said that? I'm going to show you why here. Do you have to do what I'm about to do, or can you follow the method we just used? You can do whatever you want, but I am going to show you something that I think is easier to work with. So, that is what I am starting with, yes? What is my eventual goal? Read the question. My eventual goal is general form, which is ax plus by plus c equals 0. So what do I got to get rid of? Brackets. What else? Fractions. What else? We already have brackets. What's the other thing we got to have? Everything's got to be where? on one side, and a has to be what? Positive. So let's do all those things. Now, so y minus 4 equals 2/3 x plus 2. Now, all of you wanted to multiply that in, right? Right? And that ended up giving us two fractions, didn't it? What do fractions make us do? What? When you guys see fractions, what do you do? Do you go, oh yeah, fractions and me get along like this? Or do you go, I know, I can't stop myself. I'm doing the best I can. Again, I ask, would you rather deal with more or less fractions? Less. So what bothers me are that 3, right? What gets rid of divided by 3? So why wouldn't I multiply by 3 now? So I only have one fraction to deal with. What is the left side now? What happens to these 3's? I got a 3 in the numerator here, and I got a 3 in the denominator here. What happens? It's gone. What's left? And what's that 2 going to do? To get what? Yeah? Now what? What cannot move? Why? It's positive, so we don't want it to move. So everything else has to move, correct? So move it. 2x, then what? Pardon me? Move y, so what is it gonna be? Negative 3y, and then what? What? Minus 8. Positive 16. Because everything's got to be on the same side. So we end up with negative 3y and a positive 12. And what does all that equal? 0. Now we moved everything from the left, so right now 0's over here, yeah? But that's the same thing. Everybody cool? That's it. Basic algebra. Your job today, and it's, I think, your last job today before your 4-day weekend. Well, you're going to do math. Turn that into the other 3. Does the order matter? No. Well, you're going to do that. You're going to see the right answer, and then you're going to start working on page 148. And then that is your work for the weekend. You have 4 days to do 1 page of work. So I expect nobody will have it done. That wasn't a joke. That was serious. The joke would have been, on Monday after 4 days off, when only giving you 1 page of homework, everybody's going to get check plus. Now that's funny. That's good comedy. And of course, while you are working on this, I will be turning off the screen and doing it myself. Then you will check your work. And of course, everybody ready to see answers? I will wait another moment. Ready to go? Alrighty. What's the answer? Give me any one of the forms. Any one. I don't care. Any one of the three. Jacqueline.
General form is 1x plus 2y plus 5.
But would we write the 1? No. That is general form. And once you have one of them, you have all of them, don't you? Because really, all the other three are just algebra. The hardest one to get to is general form. From point slope form. Yeah? How many of you distributed the negative 1/2 in there and didn't do my move? It doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't really care. Okay. Gersil. Of course. Of course. But I like to do as few steps as possible. Right? Because I know what I'm trying to get rid of in the long run is both the negative and the 2. So I can get rid of them both by multiplying by negative 2. Gersil is saying he would have liked to, or probably did, multiply by positive 2. So he would have had negative x minus 1 there, which would have given him negative 2y which would have given him 2y plus 6 equaled negative x plus 1, and then he would have moved the x to get x plus 2y, and then move the 1 plus 5 equals 0. The reason I made you do that by yourself without seeing me is because I thought some of you would do that, and some of you would do my move, and hopefully you would both get the right answer. And see, it does not matter what order you work in, because you will always get to the same answer, because algebra always works. Okay? Okay. Page 148 is your homework for 4 days. And I'm giving you 33 minutes to get it done right now. Stop it! Okay.